So is his wife. Francois Mitterrand paid the architect to have 666 pink pieces of glass to make the Louvre pyramid. He has publicly said he worships Lucifer. And yes, they believe that just like George Washington thought, the God of the Bible was giving him guidance, that these elitists, whether they're psychic or whatever, and then manifest it through the occult, they believe they're being guided by their spirit guides.
And they are. You've got to believe they are. And their spirit guide, you see, there are two gods in this universe. There's the true and living God of the Bible who created all of heaven and earth and sent his Son to die for us on the cross as a forgiveness and perpetuation of our sins. Then there is the prince of the power of the air, the God of this world, better known as by the average person as Lucifer or the devil. And these people serve that God.
Well, I tell you, they sure believe they're getting this goblin guidance. All I know is that every one of these creatures started dumping their stock at record levels right before this happened, Lindsey.
Well, let me assure you that from every source that I have talked with, that what happened in the Gulf of Mexico is positively an accident. It was not planned. It is not a part of any conspiracy.
Well, if their devils could tell them this was going to happen, or whatever interdimensional creatures they're communicating with, that's what they believe they're doing. I mean, even if it's not true, folks, that's what they believe. I mean, that's just raw research. I keep running into that. That's what they're really into. Even if they've got these connections, why couldn't the creatures tell them that the oil spill was coming?
All right, that gets me down to my next point. And I'm glad you led into it perfectly, Alex. We're thinking exactly alike. So after I talked with my Mr. X of the book Energy Non-Crisis, after I had communicated with a number of other oil people, and have you noticed, Alex, that every person who has called into your show today has agreed with what this Mr. X told me? Now,
yes.
Folks, I do not take credit for any of this. I must say emphatically that it is by the providence of God that I was ever allowed to be the chaplain on the Trans-Alaska Oil Pipeline and given executive status and sat in the board meetings. And I do not take credit for the things I'm saying today. I knew nothing about such things as that cap that was on the well, the fail-safe valve, and all this lingo. I didn't even recognize it until this individual told me. And the fact that they went into a strata, please use the proper words, because the oil people will laugh at us if we don't. They went into a strata of oil that is so phenomenal that no company, including the Russians, have ever drilled into it before. Now, keeping all of this in mind, after I had talked with these people about this, I said, okay, what are you going, how does this fit in? Now, I had to be very vague and yet try to get an answer out of them. Alex, I stand here shuddering almost. The elite, even though they did not create this, even though they did not know it was going to happen except by the occultic words, the elite planned to use this disaster to accomplish their timeline of 2010 and 2012 exactly as was given to me by the 87-year-old elitist. And I appeared on your show. I gave every bit of it. It's on my 6 DVD set, 8 hours of DVD viewing, and they have told me that they are going to use this Gulf scenario as a method of accomplishing their timeline for 2010 and 2012 exactly as they told me they were going to do it. And, folks, they will. You have it coming. Now, my opinion, from what I have heard from Mr. X and my VP informants, you are not going to see this world capped anytime soon. Alex, I'm making a prediction here. I think that you probably are going to be calling me every few weeks for an update, and I'm going to be calling Mr. X every so many days for an update, because we are going to see an event of such epic proportion that it is going to devastate much of the finances and the people of the United States of America, and will get Mr. Obama's programs through exactly like he wants them. And the elite have already told me that everything they gave me a year and a half ago, that they are going to use this as one of the major methods, now that it's happened, of getting their 2012 timeline done, Alex.
Well, we're looking at a live feed right now of the oil gusher. And, I mean, it is in that incredible pressure that would crush any submarine we've got that's manned. They've got some submersibles that aren't manned that can go down that far, obviously, because they're down there working on it. But it is just blasting out of the hole there. And it's so hard to work in 5,000 feet of water. We looked up this email about vanadium, this highly toxic chemical. And sure enough, I've got Huffington Post, I've got major oil sites that this is composited from. It says, in addition to hydrocarbons, crude oil has organic compounds that contain nitrogen, sulfur, and oxygen, as well as carbon and hydrogen. It also contains trace mineral salts and metals. The most common metal is nickel, vanadium, iron, copper, but can also include very small amounts of metals like uranium, arsenic, and mercury. And this strata of oil that we're talking about could just be amazing. But I understand when they're going for oil, you know, they call the different layers they're hitting different strata of oil and natural gas, you know, different gas sands and, you know, a different strata of the rock. But what I'm saying is, if they're going down this deep, we know that these magma chambers can come up right to the surface. That's what a volcano is. And that a lot of people think they may have drilled down into the magma or something that's in between that because of how unusual this is. So that's the point I'm making about that, Lindsey.
The only thing that I was assured of is that they have drilled into a strata that more than likely no other human being has ever gone into in the history of the world. It is what is called a super deep well, and because of it, they hit pressures that even Russia didn't. This is what I'm assured of by my informants. And as a result of that, to stop this thing by natural methods that have already been devised will be an impossibility. A nuke is probably the only way to do it. And I think everybody's scared to death of that.
But they could blow out the whole thing, and the pressure could be so powerful that it just goes through the cracks, and then you've got an even bigger mess, and now you've got some 2-mile-wide cracked, mishmash, and it never ends.
Well, you crack that strata further. See, they drilled into it with a pipe, and 25 to 30,000 feet down plus 5,000 feet of water. Now, when they drilled into that, they have already gone into it. But you go down with a nuke and crack it further, and it'll be a total impossibility to ever in the history of the world to fill that back up until the day that it is emptied itself. That would be so catastrophic you don't even want to think about it.
And if the abiotic theory is true, and all the evidence is beginning to point towards it being true, more and more petroleum geologists are saying something's going on, these wells are replenishing. This is not finite. It could be an unlimited. I mean, the Gulf of Mexico could become known as the Black La Brea tar pit, and it could literally destroy the beaches of the planet for hundreds of years.
Alex, a radio talk show host whom I will not mention, called me on yesterday. He's very well known. He said, Chaplain, I was supposed to have a person on my program tonight who is a tourist rep in the Keys, down towards Key West, off of Florida. And he said, I had scheduled them. They were going to be on my program tonight. Can you fill in for them? I said, no. I promised Alex that I'd do his show first with this, and I kept my word. I said, why? He said, they called a few minutes ago, said that they were threatened. They were told not to appear on my program under any circumstances. There is a media blackout on this. I don't know what repercussions you may get from even having this program today. Some things have been said that could come from nowhere except inside sources. Even those people who have called into your program today have given details, but none of them have given intricacies, as you've heard.
No, I want to be specific. I know the oil company executive. So does Dr. Monteith from Separate Research. He's called him. I know you're for real. I mean, I know that you've been exposing this for 30 years and that you did work with these big oil companies and that you do have these sources, and everything you said makes sense. Lindsey Williams, I wish you were wrong, and I wish I would have gotten you on earlier because you've been calling this week. But I just at a subconscious level, I don't want to believe things are bad. People think I just jump to conclusions. I don't. People were telling me 4 days ago there's troops all over the Gulf intimidating people, and now more and more it looks like that's true, and they admit there's National Guard everywhere. And so I guess that's happening. You know, I mean, when somebody calls me and says there's Marines 300 miles from the border, searching people at checkpoints, I don't believe it. And then I get the state police press release and photos of it, and it's in the newspaper. I mean, it's just at a certain point, I can't believe all over the country they're taking people's homes for $360 unpaid water bills and $200 unpaid power bills and water bills. And I've got an article here today, Star Tribune, in jail for being in debt. It's not a crime to owe money to debtors. Prisons are abolished in the United States in the 19th century. The people are routinely being thrown into jail for failing to pay debts to even private corporations. I mean, there's not even a law they're putting them in jail, Lindsey Williams. I mean, I've got articles here. I mean,